Jay Williams this morning on ESPN Radio talking about the expectations he has for Deshaun Watson in 2023.
I'm looking at this realistically, and I am an owner of a team that gave him Jimmy Haslam. I gave him $230 million guaranteed. Oh, you can trust and believe I'm expecting you to get back to being a tier 1 quarterback in this league. Mm-hmm. That's what I paid that's what I paid an NFL record-setting contract for, Amber.
Yeah.
And by the way, you've had time now. So, the pressure is really on. And look at their first 5 games. 4 out of their first 5 games are at home. It's never easy in the AFC, but, versus the Bengals, it's going to be your home opener. That's a home opener. Then at Steelers, then Tennessee at home, Ravens at home, San Francisco at home. It's time now, Amber, to see, look, Deshaun Watson is a special talent. Last year, like I said, just throw it out the window. This year, it's time to put the pressure and to see if he can raise the level and raise everybody else around him to the level we expect him to do, like he was doing in Houston.
With that, let's welcome in Casey Kinnamon, Dog Pound Daily. Casey, that's fair. The contract ended up being, the guaranteed part. You can make that whatever you want. It's the 7th highest average annual value right now, and that doesn't count Burrow yet, and they'll probably redo another one. So, but yeah, it's time for Deshaun Watson to go play like Deshaun Watson that the Browns thought he was.
Yeah, we're far enough removed now that it's almost like the draft picks are a bigger deal than the contract. The contract is just going to keep going down as far as averages go, just because of the way that everything works in the NFL. But Williams isn't wrong. They made those moves they made to go get a tier 1 quarterback. You don't make that move for a mid-level guy. So the expectation for him is to get back to being one of those upper tier quarterbacks. And they put the pieces in place around him. That should be the expectation. And that schedule he mentioned, there's some good teams on there. You got to play the Bengals. I think the Ravens are going to be up to snuff, and San Francisco, they play well, man, and I think they'll even do so on the road. So the expectation, though, is to make the playoffs. It can't be anything less than that, and anything less than that should be considered failure.
Well, the other thing is the roster that around him. Now, you can say whatever you want to say about DeAndre Hopkins. They had J.J. Watt, but the roster that the Browns have put around him is so much better than the one that the Texans and Texans were a playoff team. They didn't make it his rookie year. The next 2 years, they made it on, I think, 11 and 10 games when they were playing 16. You should not only expect to be a playoff team, you should expect to win the division with Deshaun Watson. As I'm making that rationale and looking at that, they should win the division with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that's what has been building to this whole time. It's the reason you go and stack these rooms, and their roster's not perfect, but no roster is. There's going to be some flaws and some holes, and you're going to have to go through some injuries you didn't see coming. But overall, if you look at this roster compared to every other roster, not just in the AFC North, not just the AFC, but in the NFL, they're in the upper tier in every positional room, maybe except 1 or 2, and those are positions that have been devalued over time. But yeah, that's got to be the expectation. And that's the weight of expectations now, is not just for Deshaun Watson, but for this team and for this coaching staff. It's on everybody. So I'm sure Watson's feeling some added pressure, but that needs to be throughout that entire building.
Well, and the alternative is nobody expects you to do well because you don't have the talent. So you don't want that either if you're a head coach or a player.
We've been there.
Yeah.